Samuel anoints David. So we're getting ready to go and be introduced to another person, a new person who is going to be very important. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king." But Samuel said, "How can I go? Saul will hear about it and kill me." The Lord said, "Take a heifer with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one I indicate." So, a little quick refresher. Samuel had originally anointed Saul to be the leader of Israel. However, because Saul was someone who looked like a leader, who represented what stereotypical would be of a leader, as in our minds and humanistic thoughts and patterns. And so he was taller. He looked like a person that would be a leader, and he wasn't. And the Lord was with him. However, Saul made choices that were not aligned to what the Lord had in store for Israel. And so the Lord was showing Samuel that there actually was a person that he wanted to go ahead and lead his people, and that would become a king, and that's David. And David is very important because if you understand, if you've read the Bible before, if you haven't read the Bible before, it's going to be a what do you call it? Getting ready to give away something, and that is David is in line to Jesus. So David is very important, and we'll see why here during this Bible lesson. And so what we just talked about, because remember Samuel, he anointed Saul, and so he, in some ways, took it upon himself. It almost like not necessarily a father, but somebody he administered to, somebody he brought into fully worshiping the Lord, or being held of esteem, And so we have Samuel, who is a priest and a prophet, and was told to anoint Saul. And so he kind of, to me, in some way, he kind of feels responsible, a little bit responsible. And the Lord's telling him to, it's time to move on. It's time to move on and get Israel the proper leader. And so that's where I feel like Samuel's just kind of still, not necessarily in a regret or anything, just kind of in that moping, kind of like feels responsible, wants time to contemplate everything that he's seen and been through, and the Lord's ready for him to move on. And so it's all in the Lord's timing, and the Lord's telling him, it's how long will you mourn for Saul? Let's get to stepping. And so when it comes to myself, in our thoughts, past to present, do we do that? Do we lose someone, like in real life, maybe even as of to death? Do we mourn? It's okay to mourn, but do we take it to another level? Do we continue to mourn past holding on to grief, holding on to misery, instead of looking at the blessings that we had, the time that we were able to spend, and looking ahead and knowing that, whether it's in death or whether it's in time to move on from friendships, from even family, from even coworkers, from even people, or even programs. You could look at it as in moving on from one program to the next. Do we kind of try to hold on to things? I think so. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?